Once upon a time, in a land where justice was supposed to be blind, there were two people who found themselves in court facing criminal charges. The first was a rich kid named Chad, who had been caught on video vandalizing public property while under the influence of drugs. Despite overwhelming evidence against him, Chad's lawyer argued that he was a good kid who just made a mistake, and that his family's wealth and influence in the community should be taken into account. As it turned out, Chad's dad had contributed heavily to the judge's campaign fund, and the judge ultimately decided to drop the felony charges against Chad and instead sentenced him to community service and a fine. Meanwhile, in the same courtroom, a homeless man named Joe was being tried for stealing a loaf of bread from a local bakery. Joe had been down on his luck and desperate for food, but the judge showed no mercy and sentenced him to 6 months in prison. It seemed that justice in this land was not blind at all, but rather depended on the size of one's wallet and the influence they could wield. As the rich got richer and the poor got poorer, the divide between them grew wider, with the wealthy using their power to avoid consequences while the less fortunate suffered under the weight of a broken system. The land continued down its path of corruption and injustice, leaving many to wonder if true justice would ever be served. Chad, the rich kid, had a team of expensive lawyers and was able to hire the best experts to testify on his behalf. His family's wealth and connections in the community gave him an unfair advantage over others who didn't have access to the same resources. The judge's decision to drop the felony charges against Chad, despite the overwhelming evidence against him, demonstrated how justice can be bought and sold by those with money and power. On the other hand, Joe, the homeless man, had no resources and was unable to afford a lawyer. The judge was unsympathetic to his circumstances and showed no mercy in sentencing him to prison. This highlights the unequal treatment of individuals in the criminal justice system based on their social and economic status. The sad reality is that this kind of injustice happens all too often. Wealthy individuals and corporations can use their resources to influence judges, prosecutors, and politicians to avoid accountability for their actions. Meanwhile, poor and marginalized individuals often face harsher sentences and fewer opportunities for justice. This system of injustice perpetuates social and economic inequality, leaving many people feeling powerless and marginalized. It is crucial for society to recognize and challenge these systemic issues, and work towards creating a more fair and equitable criminal justice system that is truly blind to social and economic status.